Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, we are discussing the third agreement of the four agreements. The book, The Four Agreements. And if you have not heard any past episodes, please refer back to the channel so you can catch up. But yeah, so let's get into it. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. This it's very, 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 very difficult for all of us, I understand. And in the book, they reference that when you make assumptions, it's because you are afraid to ask questions. Or I would say that you might be afraid of the answer you might get. We make assumptions. It's for some of us, it's just easier to just assume and go with that assumption. But really, it does more harm than good. For instance, discrimination, especially when you don't really know that much about a culture and you don't have access, or say you do have access, but what you've been taught about a certain demographic, that's just, ingrained in you. So sometimes you're afraid to ask, like, is this true about you, or is this true about y'all? It can be offensive now. Certain questions that can be. But if you truly don't know, we shouldn't be afraid to ask for clarifications so that we give people a chance so you can learn, from others instead of just placing judgment onto them. I think also we are also afraid of judgment because judgment, it kind of leads to how people decide to treat you based off of what their interpretation of who you are is, right? So the assumptions that people make are judgments, and we all make them, and some of them are to protect ourselves. Sometimes people lie, even if we do ask the question, so I get it. But when it comes to like relationships, when it comes to people that you care about, we want to make sure that you're giving them the full chance. Like they talked about how when people get married, if they don't ask enough questions, then they assume that the person that they're marrying has the same view of marriage that they do. And because they didn't do that work or ask that specific question when it came down to, is this a good fit for me, you kind of get blindsided. Not saying that asking questions can protect you from everything, because people do change, people do grow, right? But what you do when that happens is you check in with each other, okay? Also, they talk about like we assume that we could change people. So sometimes we may avoid asking those questions um, in hopes that actually I can't even say in hopes that let me word it the right way based off of what we're talking about. We assume that our partner knows that this is wrong and this will offend us. So why would they do it to me? Right? And that is not an accurate it's not an accurate assumption. It just isn't. Um Let me see. How else can I explain this? Uh well, I think let me not assume, but I want to tell y'all that you cannot change someone that does not want to change. Okay? You cannot. Like, if they haven't told you these are my goals and I know this about myself and I'm working on it, then it's a lost cause. So make sure you're not marrying someone or in relationship with someone that you feel like you can change if there's something that bothers you, right? You cannot change them. They have to want change for themselves. And when we assume, women do this a lot. We marry oftentimes based off of potential. And yeah, I could change the way he dresses. That's fine. Oh, he's a little rough around the edges. I could change that. Nope, you cannot. Okay, yeah, no, he's a drug addict. I could change that. I could introduce him to the Lord and no. Based off of your judgments, um, no, don't assume that you can change anybody. We also make assumptions about ourselves when we are afraid to ask ourselves questions. Those negative thoughts that come to us that tell us we're not good enough, when we don't take the time to really check the facts on that. We forget to go through our accomplishments in our lives and we start just grabbing the negative and the times where we've fallen short uh, when trying to achieve something. We tend to grab those things together instead of grabbing the good things and the things that we need to be grateful for. We make negative assumptions, and sometimes also I look at humans as if based off of the categories that separate us, we're taught to think and we're taught a way to move. And when we come down to this earth and we look at people, we make decisions on what our character is going to be. For example, in my culture, there's a way to be black. There's a way to be a black woman. There's a way to be an educated black woman. Right? Every category you could think of. And we, based off of how we are treated, based off of our environments, we jump into these roles to protect ourselves from not only from people outside of our environment or our culture, but also within our culture. Right? We there's a way to be. There's a way to be white. There's a way to be Asian. There's a way to be anything, right? An immigrant. There's a way to be a lady. There's a way to be a man. There's a way to be a child. There's a way to be an adult. Like, we have these stipulations that we are judged if we don't, we teach the world to assume that we're this way or we're that way based off of the criteria that they lay out for us. If you watch some of the black, I would say, exploitation films, one of the ones that dive deep into this portrayal, right? Because movies, media, period, has us assuming that a particular demographic is a certain type of way. And if you look at the movie, I believe it's called Hollywood Hustle. If you check that movie out, they kind of make fun of this. Like, they have this actor come and audition for this role, and the director's like, that's not black enough. Like, this is my view of what a black man should be. You should be a pimp. You should be cussing out women and things of that nature based off of those assumptions, right? And some of us, we do, I'm not even going to front, some of us, we do fall into that trap, right? Of the labels. And it can be very, very difficult if you do not have your own sense of self, right? If you don't have the confidence to work on yourself and decide who you want to be for you outside of the assumptions that people are going to make about you, it's easy to fall into that trap. It was easy for me to fall into the trap of, I talked about how a lot of my teachers would call me stupid and put their hands on me, and it's easy to fall into that trap of believing it when someone is constantly telling you that this is what it is, It's hard. So when it comes to making assumptions about other people, we kind of have to remember how it feels when people make assumptions about us that are hurtful and puts us at a detriment, that keeps us out of certain spaces that we deserve to be in, or we feel like we deserve to be in. And a thought crossed my mind, like, should I ask somebody if they're racist, right? Now, that part, that's the difficult part, because people lie. So if someone did something that I felt as though it was a result of them being racist, I think I can ask the question. What the book is saying is to ask the question. Ask you, like, are you racist? And if they say no, okay, well, when you said this or when you did this, the definition, you're discriminating against me based off of what you said and what you did and how I watched you treat this person that didn't look like me a different way than you treated me. One can make the assumption that you're racist. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that. Maybe that is what the book is saying, that the conversation should go, right? And then give the person another chance, if they do it again, then that's just what it is. That's the judgment I need to place into to protect myself, right? And then also when we make assumptions, we do take things personally, which is the second chapter of the book. So it is better to ask the question, like, if you're in a relationship and your spouse keeps leaving the TV on at night and you're like, no, please don't leave the TV on. They keep leaving the TV on. You need to start asking questions, right? That the spouse also owes it to you to ask the question, like, why don't you like the TV on? And you should answer it. Sometimes people just assume that people should just know or just do what they say, and there should be no questions. Oh, bad parenting, right? When it comes to that, like, people should just do what you say. We kind of carry that. If I say I don't like it, you should just do it. No, communicate, right? Allow that person to understand and to comprehend why this is a problem for you and why this is a boundary that you need to have and that you would like them to respect. Okay? Don't just assume that people know. And I'm trying to get better with that. I promise you I am. um, like, when I set a boundary, now if I explain it to you, okay, then you know it's a chop. I'm assuming that you're trying to disrespect me if I've done, my due diligence in asking you questions as to why do you leave the TV on, okay, and so many arguments can be avoided if we do just ask the question and don't make assumptions that this person is trying to hurt you or trying to disrespect you. But after you ask the question, listen, I say it's fair game. It's fair game that this person has decided that this is what they're going to do and they don't care how you feel about it. Okay? And that can even be a question based off of what you're seeing. So yeah, this one is difficult, you guys. It's a little difficult. Okay, you really, really cannot allow that fear of judgment, the fear of asking questions, to stop you from getting clarity. Okay, because you would want somebody to do that for you. Like when I set a boundary, or I let go of a friend, what I'm trying to do, because listen, I'm a Pisces, so number one, it takes a lot for me to cut somebody off. I'm constantly giving them chance after chance after chance. I am consulting with other people to make sure that I'm not tripping. And I am usually, even when they say, no, you're in the right, this person keeps doing this to you, you should let them know or you should cut them off or whatever the case may be. Even after the first time someone has told me that, I still am like, okay, let me find out why, right? Let me ask why. I'm a therapist, right? I've just had the mind of a therapist since I was a little girl, is to not pass judgment on what you're doing, but figure out why you're doing it, right? I do that analyzation, okay? And in the past, there would be times where I would express myself to the person and I'd be like, well, I feel like you're treating me this way because you don't like me or something like that. And sometimes they'd be like, no, or they may flat out say, well, yeah, because you did this. They made an assumption about me without coming to me and asking me a question about it. And then sometimes we handle it and sometimes we don't, right? But after a while, because it takes me so long, if I have given that person that chance, it's like, and they continue to do nonsense, it's a wrap. Now, if I haven't expressed myself that this is painful, if I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. What I do if I'm ready to cut somebody off, I'm ready to cut them off. What I do now is I go ahead and explain to them, this is what it is. And sometimes I go ahead and say, I know you know what you're doing. Like that, every Pisces thinks that, hey, you know what you did. Because everybody else seen what you did. And I've been trying to give you chances no more, okay? When we get fed up, it's a wrap and we're gone forever. But I'm trying to be better with that and not just assume that they know. But also, certain things, y'all, come on. Like, disrespect is disrespect. Okay? Disrespect is disrespect. Like, for instance, I had a friend that I let go of because I had helped them with something. Spent my last and made sure I extended myself to, even though I didn't have, anything for me, I, sacrifice my time, my energy, my resources to help them. And, you know, thinking that, okay, they do the same for me. If I ask a favor, Paul, what an assumption. Nope, that didn't happen. And the reason why this friend got cut off is because shortly after I needed a favor, and they had already agreed that, okay, if I do things this way, that's not a good decision for you, right? With me, they're the ones that told me, hey, this is not a good decision for you, don't do that, right? Just ask me and I'll help. So I asked for the help, and their answer was, well, when stuff hit the fan, let me know, but you'll be fine. It's kind of like, never mind. It's like, hold on. And this person continued to go about their day, not even checking to make sure I was fine after we both agreed uh, shortly before I asked if they can help me, that this was not a good situation for me to be in. They didn't even check to make sure stuff didn't hit the fan. Right? So, when you know better with that friend, I'm just like, well, you know better. And sometimes when someone gets away with mistreating you over and over again, and you continue to take them back, they make the assumption that you're never going to wake up. You're never going to do anything about it, because all this time they've been doing the same thing, even though you may have been ignoring it, or you may not have even noticed it, or you may have made excuses, assumptions for their behavior, that you're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, that's it's a shock when a Pisces be like, no more, bye. Because usually we're the last ones to know, because we make so many excuses for people. Very empathetic. So when it comes to that, I try to make sure that I run through the track record. Number one, I run through the track record, and I look at how I'm treating this person. Okay? So sometimes it's right in your face, and you don't even need to ask the question. It's obvious. Certain things are just obvious when people, mistreat you. Yes, it's good to ask, right? Especially if it's somebody who you care about. But, man, sometimes when you get fed up, you just get fed up. And that's just what it's going to be. You got to make a decision to protect yourself. Okay? But, like I said, I am trying to do better with explaining myself. But also, you have the right to say, okay, based off of the data, this person is showing me that this is how they are. I have the right to make the decision to leave. Okay? And be around people that I don't have to change the way that they are. Like, I feel loved, I feel appreciated, I feel supported in this space with this person. So I also have the right to, like, okay, let me stay here and not go over there. That's what I'm trying to take from this chapter. Don't make assumptions about people, right? You ask questions. You get clarity, okay? But also, don't feel as though you need to stay to change this person. You don't. Okay? If someone does something that offends you, go ahead and explain why it offends you. Yes, go ahead and ask why they did it, right? And I would go even as far to say, accept their answer. Accept their answer for the moment, but also decide what you're going to do should they cross that boundary again. You have the right to decide afterwards. After you talked about it, you giving yourself a chance, you giving them a chance. I think it's fair to go ahead and make a decision on whether you want to stay there or not. This chapter was quite short. This chapter, and I believe the last chapter, is very short. So, I hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't confuse you. But this is a really good rule. Don't make assumptions. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask for what it is. And yes, you can discern whether someone is lying to you or not. You can even say, okay, listen, I'm going to watch your behavior after we discuss this. Let's see. And then you make your decisions from there. But try to make sure that you flat out ask if you are about to make a judgment. If you feel like, oh, I need to go and gossip or go and talk to somebody about this, like somebody in the friend group, to see if they got to deal with this too. Whatever the case may be, it may be better to just go ahead and ask first, right? But if the behavior is the same, maybe then go and consult with whoever you need to consult with to make sure you're not tripping, right? Be accountable for your own actions and your own beliefs first, and then move accordingly. Still protect yourself, okay? But give people a chance. Also give yourself a chance. Check the facts when those negative thoughts come and you assume that you're not good enough, or you can't have, or you'll never do this and you'll never do that. Remind yourself of what you've already surpassed. If you're still here, you're a warrior, okay? If you are still here, you're still breathing, listen, that's a triumph. It really, really is. So hold on to that. Okay? All right. That does it for agreement number 3. Don't make assumptions. All right? Hard, but still helpful. Until next time. Love on yourself. And don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.
The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday. If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.